Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Short Box Podcast.
The Short Box Podcast is recorded live from Jacksonville, Florida.
Yo, Short Box Nation. Welcome back to the podcast. How are we doing today? I hope you're feeling good, feeling great. And I hope you're ready for another great episode, all right? To all of our new friends joining us for the first time, my name is Botter. Welcome to the Short Box Podcast, the comic review and talk show, where we provide you with the best conversations about comics, culture, and more. It is my honor to present you with episode 372. Today, we're gearing up for the upcoming release of the Black Adam movie, starring Dwayne Johnson as the titular character, alongside Pierce Bronson, Aldous Hodge, and Viola Davis, and a few other recognizable names. So today we're looking at one of the film's important comic source materials, a popular Black Adam story from 2007 called Black Adam: The Dark Age. Oh, wow.
That just gave me Love and Thunder flashbacks.
Shout out to soundbible.com. Where was that? Okay, so Black Adam: The Dark Age was selected as today's comic review by our Patreon community. Our goal today is to brush up on this villain turned anti-hero, and occasionally sometimes he's a good guy depending on what year it is and who's writing the story. But Black Adam was first introduced in 1945. He was, meant to be just an antagonist and darker analog character to Shazam and his Shazam family. Of course, Black Adam has undergone quite a few revisions and retcons as the years and ownership of the character and Shazam in general has changed companies. But we'll get into that in more detail here in a minute. First, let me introduce my panel of friends joining me today. In the studio, sitting next to me, is the artist extraordinaire Edmund Danzart. What's up, Ed?
What's up, man?
How you feeling today?
Good.
And calling in as a special guest co-host, hoping to take on the Herculean task of filling in for Ashley today. All right, she took a PTO day. All right, she had a wonderful baby shower this weekend, and we told her to take the day off. Ed, you should have been there. Her
totally forgot.
Her baby shower was star-studded, as you can imagine.
I'm gonna blame that lady who did the RSVPs, didn't send a reminder text.
In true Ashley Hollywood fashion, she had Alan Moore was at his baby shower, Jeff Lemire, Jamie Foxx.
She let Jeff Lemire come.
Jamie Foxx was there.
Jamie Foxx was there.
That's how the Spawn news. We got it.
The Spawn.
Direct from Jamie himself.
And she debuted the baby's name, which is I'm proud to announce is going to be Maximus Prime Michael Bay Hoy.
Wow,
that is the baby's name right there.
Maximus. That is an awesome
Very
name.
strong baby name. Kid. Shout out to Ashley. That is my long-winded way of introducing our special guest co-host today. You've already started hearing his voice, But for some of you, it's a familiar voice, especially you longtime listeners that may remember him from last year's Suicide Squad episode that we did. He runs a great comic book YouTube channel called Comic Ventures, and he's on social media sharing his comic knowledge and adventures at Comic Ventures. Let's give it up for Zach Armour joining the show today. Sweet round of
Thank you,
applause.
guys.
What up, Zach?
Hey, Shortbox Nation. What's up, guys? I'm very honored and excited. Listen, this is how I know I made it, being on this podcast.
Was the first time just tryouts?
No, the first time I was just nervous.
Okay.
Also, they kind of were tryouts. I was like, oh, dang. I don't know if these guys are going to invite me back.
But Zach, what's going on with Comic Ventures? What's the latest and greatest?
Man, Comic Ventures is going great. If you guys have not checked out the content, I'm doing a great series on Instagram called This Day and Age with Shortbox, who have been mentioned on the Shortbox podcast. They are the best way to buy online comics. No, I'm not like
it's not a shameless plug.
He's wearing the shirt too. He's wearing the shirt too.
I'm wearing the shirt too. I really am repping them today. But I'm doing a great series called This Day and Age with Shortbox, and it's just going through each age of comics throughout the various whatever month we're in. So we're in October now, so we're going to be talking about October this month, for example, and throughout the Golden, Silver, Bronze, and Modern Age. We're doing this really nice, well-researched series on which comic books you would have picked up if you hopped in a time machine and went into like whatever this second week or third week of October, what kids you have picked up. It's really fun. But other than that, I've been doing a lot of reels because Instagram's algorithm is not very kind to
demands reels
type of content.
And you can't just put TikTok stuff over it either. They don't like that either.
It's crazy. So listen, if you guys like sneakers and comic books being photographed together, come check it out.
There we go. Check that out. And while we're on introductions, and before we really get started talking about Black Adam, I want to shout out the winner of our recent giveaway. On the topic of the Short Box comic app, we had a giveaway for a really nice Deadly Class #1 CGC 9.8 graded comic book, and that contest has ended, and we've announced the winner. He's a longtime listener of the show. His name is John Luna. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a round of applause. He deserves it.
Nice.
As well as everyone else that entered as well. There's a lot of people that entered. Got a lot of angry DMs about people not winning, which was really funny. But it was all, all in jest and all of love. So shout outs to John Luna. Shout outs to everyone that entered in the contest. And most importantly, shout outs to the Short Box comic app for being partners on that. I really appreciate that. Big shout outs to Crow and the entire Short Box team. And this is definitely not last and definitely not least. This next piece of house cleaning is for all of our Short Box homies in the Jax and Northeast Florida area. We will be at the Jax Duval Comic and Zine Fest on Saturday, October 22nd. It's taking place at the main Jax Public Library downtown. There will be artists from all over Florida at this event. There will be workshops, printing, and plenty of opportunities to buy and shop for zine and comics. It's a free event. Me and Ed will be there, spreading the good word of the Short Box. And I'll be hosting a panel with the guest of honor, the renowned comic book artist, zine lover, illustrator, and designer Jim Rugg, who has been a repeat guest of this show. But this is the first time I'll be interviewing him in person at a comic event dedicated to independent print and publishing. And it's here in Jax. It's great to, be able to host someone that we've looked up to, in our hometown. So I couldn't think of a better place to host them. So if you're someone that dabbles in or is interested in making your own zines and mini comics, or you just want to meet awesome independent comic creators, this event is for you, and I hope you show up, right? Once again, it's taking place at the main Jacksonville Public Library downtown Saturday, October 22nd, 12 to 5 p.m. So, it respects your time. It's not even an all-day thing. Short and sweet and very impactful, all right? Check the link in the bio for more details, and me and Ed hope to see you there. With the house all clean and all the shameless plugs out the way, let's start on today's main topic, which is Black Adam's first ever solo miniseries, The Dark Age. I just want to cuddle up to some a warm hot chocolate and a blanket. That's what I want. All right, let's get some cool music going. I want a nice sound bed for what I'm about to do next, and allow me to set the scene for our friends tuning in that might not be familiar with the story that we're talking about, or you might just need a hyper fast crash course into the character of Black Adam. Here we go. Black Adam, or Teth Adam if you want to address him by his government name, made his comic debut in the Marvel Family #1, which was published in 1945 by Fawcett Comics, the original holders of the Shazam and the Shazam family rights, or Captain Marvel and the Marvel family. We're sticking to origins. Adam was an ancient Egyptian who gained his powers in the same way as his arch-rival would. The same powerful wizard named Shazam that would grant Billy Batson the abilities of Shazam centuries later first granted 10th Adam the abilities of flight, super strength, superhuman endurance, great wisdom, and a whole lot more, thanks to being imbued with magical energies after speaking the same magic word, Shazam! The wizard mistakenly thought Adam to be a morally just man, but of course that would blow up in his face. After being granted these powers, Adam quickly becomes corrupted by the vastness of his new abilities and overthrows and kills the pharaoh and assumes the Egyptian throne, and permanently finds his way on the Wizard Shazam's naughty list for the rest of time, and on the receiving end of Captain Marvel and the Marvel family's united front for peace and justice. Fast forward to 1977, where the rights to Black Adam and the rest of the Marvel family would find their way to DC Comics, where Captain Marvel and the Marvel family would be rechristened to Shazam and the Shazam family. And Black Adam's origin would see a slight remix and a few more as the years progressed, eventually landing us in modern continuity where he now hails from the fictional North African nation of Kondak. The story that we're highlighting today is the 2007 six-issue miniseries by writer Peter J. Tomasi and artist Doug Mahnke. The events in this story takes place after some pretty gnarly events, to say the least. Black Adam is on the run as a war criminal from not only Earth's mightiest heroes, the Justice League, but also from the United Nations, of all people, after being responsible for the deaths of thousands of Bialians, who are residents of another fictional country in the DC universe. Adam is also without his powers in the story, because the word that usually transforms him into the ass-kicking supervillain has been changed. It's no longer Shazam, thanks to Shazam. How ironic is that? And you try saying that 5 times fast. Talk about a tongue twister. And to make matters worse, remember those gnarly events I mentioned earlier? Well, aside from committing mass genocide on the residents of a neighboring country while in a fit of rage, his beloved wife, Isis, is dead, thanks to another supervillain by the name of Azraoz, Silent King of the Age of Death, who is basically one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse and the catalyst for Black Adam's genocidal run. It was kind of he started it, and I took it to the extreme. That's kind of what happens. But all of that takes place in a separate series called World War III, as well as 52, which you should consider reading also if you want to get the full story. But in Dark Age, we find Adam on a globe-hopping quest to hunt down the pieces of his dead wife's magical amulet, which is the only hope he's got to revive her, all the while avoiding the Justice League, who would like to bring him to justice, and secret government agencies that are seeking retribution in a more lethal way for his heinous war crimes, as well as teaming up with the shadiest wizard you'll ever meet in hopes to restore his powers to the rightful glory. Talk about a juggling act. He does all of that in the series. Black Adam The Dark Age is available to purchase for $16 on Amazon in a nice collected edition, or you can do like I did and read it on the DC Universe app with a paid subscription. Ed, if you don't mind taking it from here so I can take a breather, what themes did you pick up on, or what are the key topics that are explored in this story?
So basically, this is Black Adam's 5 stages of grief, is how I looked at this story. So we have basically denial. He's dragging them bones around, trying to get her back to life. Basically not accepting the death. I know it's comics, no one really dies, but he can't accept that Isis is gone. So he's carrying her skeleton around, trying to find different ways to resurrect her and bring her back. And then so we go to bargaining. Now he's making a deal with this shifty ass Felix Faust to basically bring her back, sending him on this fetch quest. Anger, we know this is an angry dude. This dude's always angry. He's killing people. There's intestines coming out. This is a more violent than I thought it would be comic book.
Oh yeah. Towards
the end, we get that great shot of once Faust kind of tricks him. There's that depression and then acceptance where he's finally like, she's gone. And then he's at his palace and he's just, by that portrait, which is a great panel. I really liked it. I wasn't sure how I would like it. It took maybe half the first issue and then I was on board. We get a pretty decent character study, but there's a lot of things in here, which is interesting, character stuff, kind of understanding Black Adam and making him a really interesting character. I kind of see him as almost like a Dr. Doom type character, but not quite that chaotic evil, but there's like a nobility and he has a code, there's a code, there's a nobility there. We can get into it as we talk about the story more, but that's kind of how I looked at these 6 issues.
Excellent. That's a great intro. And if I had to tell you what Black Adam's code is, it's probably bite me and I will fucking destroy your entire country.
It's like fuck around and find out.
You know what? There we go.
That's his
Way
whole
better.
MO, like,
You won that. Fuck around and find out. I'll add to some of the themes. I got here war crimes being an obvious one. Genocide, because, you know, that's kind of the catalyst of why he's in this predicament. Love, sacrifice. I got ice cream as well. That was a surprising.
That one I didn't understand when that first happened until I figured out why. He was like, oh, okay, I get it. He changed the word. Okay.
Diplomatic immunity. I've got travel agent. I mean, he's got a killer travel agent.
Dude,
Sorcery
his
and resurrection.
Delta miles are crazy. Because he's not flying around as Black Adam this whole time.
Yeah. This was my first time reading this as well. And this, I guess I had pretty good expectations. I knew I was in safe hands, is what I'll say, because it's written by Peter J. Tomasi, who I highly respect. I'm a big fan of his work. And it's art by Doug Mahnke, so you can't really go wrong with that combo. Ed, you mentioned something about the level of brutality and how violent it was, and that being a surprise to you. I guess I wasn't that surprised because of the time frame this book came out in. During this time period for DC Comics, I felt like everything was very violent. Like they were not afraid to lean into just telling very violent stories and letting their characters get their hands a little dirty. And that's where, Zach, I'd like you to take it from here. And maybe giving us, like, you know, you brought up your This Day and Age segment that you're doing on your channel. Would you mind telling us about some of the other comics that were out around this time, maybe specifically like DC or just in general? Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
in general, yeah. I mean, there's some great stuff happening, especially in DC Comics right now. It's right 2006, 2008. This takes place right after, right on the foot of DC's 52 event, which really put a lot of the more unknown characters into the spotlight a little bit more. While this is going on, also Marvel's going really cosmic with Annihilation. Fun fact. So a lot of lesser known characters throughout. This is like, growing up, this is one of my favorite era of comics because this is when I fell in love with like Black Adam and the Guardians and Silver Surfer and all the cosmic, like, you know, I was more of a Marvel kid. I was a Marvelite growing up, but this is really, Black Adam was a really huge figure right now, at the foot end of DC's 52 event. Also, the Justice Society is making a really big resurgence with their own ongoing series at this time. So it kind of makes sense with Black Adam's kind of ties, especially to Atom Smasher. And you guys are obviously going to see in the movie. They'll probably have some sort of rapport, hopefully, because they really do in the comics. Atom Smasher's like his guy. Like
that's one of my favorite scenes in the comic when they're at the diner. They became buddies. They kind of have that parallel kind of vigilante bros, you know, they kind of have like parallel, you know, thoughts on being a hero, and like that's kind of what gives them their bond. And Black Adam always has like a justified reason why he kills, at least in this incarnation of in Black Adam. I think that's what we're going to see in the movie, where he kills, but it's a line is crossed, or he was basically killed those people hunting for the last horseman death, right?
That killed his wife.
Killed his wife. Unfortunately, this is, you know, collateral damage.
I don't know if they talk about the casualty number. I think it was
millions,
either.
No, I don't think so, right?
But I think they imply that if it's not in the high 100,000s, it's like in the millions. Collateral damage is a very.
This is a supervillain.
That's a hell of a word.
This is a supervillain.
That's a soft word for that.
I'm not saying that. I'm talking in comic reality and comic numbers, and for a top tier superhero, a top Superman Omega level, powered person, that is collateral damage. Unfortunately, that is collateral damage. I'm not trying to use that term into the real world. I'm talking about in comics world with Black Adam.
For this fictional country, you're right.
Yeah, for this country that's Lebanon, but maybe you're not, I don't know. In his eyes, this is worth getting to his goal. This is unfortunately the path I have to take.
Because this kind of takes place after so many kind of very big moments for the character, this story, I felt, didn't quite do the best job kind of giving you the recap on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like they kind of they keep implying some of these events, and I had to go to like Wikipedia to get the full digest of what went on. Like, how did his wife die?
Me too, yeah.
Why did he destroy that country? How many people? I don't think this series does the best job of getting you spun up. But to me, this was during a period where it was like either you were following along with all the stuff that was going on,
it's true,
or you just missed out.
Yeah. There's a lot of this is one of 17 million extinction level storylines that was happening in 2007. Like World War Hulk, you can literally go to the comic shop and World War Hulk is like right next to this book. Like there's just too crazy. And so if you're not picking up, obviously, yeah, you're kind of lost. But I do think that this is a very necessary Black Adam story. So I don't think it's unreadable, but I agree. Like I had to go back and realize that Shazam used his admin privileges to like I was like, what's happening? Why does he keep repeating word? And then I had to go back.
You get the gist of it, but the details, if you're wanting more details and why, I think the premise is there. It's like, okay, I need to fetch all these fragments. It's like a video game. It's fetch quest, get all these people to resurrect my wife. That part is clear. It's just, why didn't he lose how did he lose his powers? What did he do to this country? What's he talking about? Why is this guy trapped in the tower? It's like, there's those few lingering things, but the overall mission is pretty clear.
Yeah. I felt like that whole getting you spun up could have easily been solved by one of my favorite things in comics, which I think they do a good job of doing now, but maybe not so then. Maybe it was an afterthought, but like just that 1-page recap, right? Like the opener.
Inside cover with all the people involved.
Yeah, right? Like,
I was with you before you even
I noticed that wasn't
Yep.
that wasn't here in these comics, and I can't recall if it was just because of this or that was kind of like the MO of maybe DC at the time, which was, look, either you're reading these or you're not.
You're on board
but
or not.
I think just a 1-page, even just 2 paragraphs, like, this, series follows blah, 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 would have helped. But regardless, Zach, so you said that this was around the time that JSA was getting their relaunch as well?
Yes. Yeah, they just, you're really testing my memory, but I believe in 2007, the Justice Society just relaunched with a new title. Around this, it kind of overlapped with this. So it's pretty ironic since Black Adam has really close ties with JSA, and
he was almost a member. Like he was like in probationary membership.
When events like this are like, what are we doing?
He's fucking strong. We need a strong guy.
Yeah.
He may kill some people.
Collateral damage. It's comic books.
By the way, it seems like in the movie, they don't, at least from the trailers, I've got the idea in the movie that they don't know each other. And Amanda Waller's like sending the JSA, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah, she's so connected. It's like, who isn't under her control? She got the JSA.
She's got the JSA, Suicide Squad, Justice League. Like, what's going on?
You're not going to implant that thing in the Black Adam, the little bomb in your head. You're out of your mind.
The trailer leads you to, and I think even the synopsis that I've read about the movie is that this is like a fresh start. Like they're bringing him into the modern world, into like this, world of superheroes, and he's finding his way. Like even like Isis is in the movie. She is being played.
Oh, I didn't know.
But she doesn't have her powers.
Exactly.
Yet.
She's being played by Sarah Shahai as Isis. She's a university professor in the movie, as well as a resistance fighter in Kahndaq.
Because she gets part, and I think why, and that would have been nice information to have, because she is part of that Shazam family, where her powers come from the wizard Shazam indirectly.
That's interesting.
Dang, Ed, it sounds like you might have did the extra credit assignment. Did you end up reading Black Adam's origin or any of the early Shazam stuff?
Yeah, I read the old, because I like Shazam. I always thought Shazam was a cool character. So I read that old, comic with Shazam in it. And it's like, he's very one note, which, comics at the time. And they tricked him to saying his name. And then when he became back, he's like 5,000 years old. So he just turned into dust. And then, but like Forever Evil is probably my first series that he was like, a big part in, the New 52, when he's like Ultraman, like breaks his jaw, he just grabs his face and just crushes his jaw. Yeah, that's so
You guys,
brutal.
I'm so excited because I'm like, this is all coming back to me. I forgot about the New 52 stuff. That's when he like kills his nephew and stuff, right?
Well, he basically
his origin's like crazy.
So his new origin, which is makes him tough to empathize with, because basically his nephew asked to share the powers with him. And then basically, Black Adam, he wants to revenge. We're going to, murk these guys. And then the nephew's like, no, we can't do this. We can save them without too much bloodshed is gone already. And then basically he held him. And then when they were about to do the word, he basically like breaks his neck and takes all the power for himself. And it's like, so that's another thing where it's like, he's justified in his mind that this is what it takes to get my revenge. So his motives are always, at least at the beginning, was like, this guy's, always out for revenge. Everyone's always wronged him. He's justified by using his powers to kill people, because he wasn't a good guy that got corrupted by the power. He was already wanting vengeance from the start.
He was bloodthirsty against the oppressive system and ends up becoming a one-man oppressive system in a way.
Yeah, arguably, yeah. Outside of comics, like even in the film industry and stuff, how they got Dwayne Johnson, like I feel like they're not going to have him have this type of origin where he kills his like nephew or something.
I think they'll soften that origin where he's the one that was chosen,
Have to.
But yeah, they're not going to, they don't have to go note for note, but they will soften it because he's going to be, and it's like, that's the most perfect casting I think I've ever seen in a superhero movie.
I wasn't mad at it.
So they have to have him where he's a good guy with the edge, almost like a superpowered kind of Punisher type character where, it's where there's some moral ambiguity, but he's, in his mind, at least, he's doing the right thing.
So, I mean, I'm looking at the plot for the movie, and it looks like they're going to lean into the Egyptian origin that we know. He's bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian gods, and then he gets imprisoned. I'm sure it'll be a case of like he himself is probably like an Egyptian slave or some, oppressed in some form or fashion. Gets his
family
powers
gets killed.
Yeah, exactly. Family gets killed. He uses the powers overkill.
Kratos action. Kratos.
Exactly. And then he gets awakened in modern times. Probably looking for the same revenge.
Well, it's a thing where I know basically he's been imprisoned when I think he has before. There's been so many different kind of origins where he's either sent to the other side of the galaxy and it took him thousands of years to get back to Earth, or they've imprisoned him and then someone opened up his, tomb or whatever, and then now he's back.
Zach, you had brought up The Rock and maybe how this, what the tone of this movie is. Everything I've read about this movie and interviews with Dwayne Johnson, it sounds like he kind of was pushing for this to be a little more darker and serious. It sounded like he was in talks to get this movie going like as early as 2007. I think some of the early plans was like a joint movie between Shazam and Black Adam, telling the origin of both of them. That didn't work out, and then they were just going to do a Black Adam movie, but the script was like way too. It was just like really lighthearted, kind of funny. Even I forgot who the director was, but I think it was like a comedy director. And Dwayne was like, no, like. If we're gonna do this, we've got to we got to be respectful of the source material. We got to portray Black Adam as he is in the comics.
With Warner Brothers just constant shuffling and
that too.
Bad.
I think that's why it just took so long to finally land.
Like their whole thing kind of collapsing, their whole kind of built-in universe.
I heard an interview with him. Not heard. I guess I read an interview with him like yesterday or this morning, where he said the old Warner Brothers, crew is out, and with the new team, they are kind of building on what that blueprint was in the beginning, and not just shuffling all over the place. I think with this casting, I was when it first got announced, I was a little iffy because to me, he's always like The Rock, like he's Dwayne Johnson. I'm like, I can't really see, or he's Hobbs. Like, I don't know. So, but then, once I realized what the plan was, and once I saw that first trailer, I saw kind of like they're bringing a little bit of darkness to it, and he's taking the character seriously. He seems like his heart's really in it, and they need that star power.
Exactly. I love
Makes
the
sense.
promo. I love the promo and the confidence he has.
He finally started working out to get big.
Yeah.
He's like, come on, Rock, get in shape.
How do you get bigger?
He's bigger than he's ever been, and he's
Crazy.
He's like pushing 50. He's on. I don't know what chemicals he's on, but I need those.
I need just give me a fraction of it.
And I need to work out 5 hours a day.
And I love the wrestling mentality and promo that he's bringing to not just this movie, but I think just like to DC, like in general, to Warner Brothers, like this like new sense of confidence. I think he's gone on record saying like, this is going to kind of change the hierarchy of the DC universe. He's talking shit about, being stronger than Superman or wanting to see Black Adam, Superman eventually go at it in the movies. But Rock has been, I think it's the best thing to happen to this character in this property. And hopefully the movie, I never want to see any movie bomb because like, why would I ever want to go watch a bad movie, right? But I think this could be that injection, that new blood that like the DC universe, cinematic universe needs.
And he's going to do the rounds. He's probably going to go to places dressed up as Black Adam, like John Cena did as Peacemaker.
Visually, it is such a one-for-one casting. He doesn't even have to dress up, right? Like, he just got to do the eyebrow thing.
He just puts on the outfit and it's like, yep, I don't need fake abs or muscles. I'm good.
Yeah. And, perform genocide here or there. And I'm sold.
I can see people attaching to him like Loki. I think like kind of like how Tom Hiddleston with Loki, and he kind of did that round. I can kind of see people kind of attaching him like
where people are like, we love you for your edginess and you being kind of like this asshole, but at the same time, we see the heart in you and we're rooting for you. I
can definitely see that.
That was something that Dwayne Johnson gravitated towards when it comes to the character, is that he is morally kind of gray. I've got this quote here that I'd like to read, and it kind of goes hand in hand, Ed, with what you were saying about like, you kind of, even though we're reading this series in particular, is like, he's done some really fucked up shit, to say the very least. There is one small layer of like, but it was in response to this, right? It wasn't just, he's going to kill a bunch of people. But the quote here from Dwayne Johnson about Black Adam and his kind of like understanding is, the connection to Black Adam is that while you may not agree and you may interpret him as a supervillain, anti-hero, protector, even a superhero, you may not agree with his philosophy, but everyone understands. So I think they're really going to kind of, in this movie, I'd imagine, lean into like, let's give him a tragic upbringing, a tragic story. His family's probably going to get killed for sure. That way we build like that, get you emotionally invested. And then we're going to show him just doing some terrible stuff. Probably just some terrible people. Zach, I wanted to hear from you, man. Like, what did you learn about Black Adam from the story? Whether it was like something new or maybe just reinforce some characteristics of the character that you already know.
I always saw Black Adam as a little bit more villainous. I kind of struggle seeing him as an anti-hero, even with like, the recent iterations and stuff.
Yeah.
But this book really, I mean, for it to come out in 2007, 2008, and finish up in 2008 and start in 2007, it was cool to see like that characterization of the character even back then as kind of he has a sense of empathy and compassion. He is not an empathetic person. He's not a compassionate person, but he does have a heart and he has a goal.
He's not chaos. He's not like the Joker where it's just chaotic evil. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas before this, I thought he was just a dick. I did. That's what I read.
Still kind of a dick.
He kind of is.
Yeah.
His empathy and compassion doesn't go down smoothly, I think is where I'm at, right? It's like, you're like, oh, you kind of say it through grit teeth, like, all right, I get it. I guess if I was, to me, if he's supposed to be the analog of Shazam, where Shazam is like this, boyish exuberance and like, wide-eyed and pure good. Black Adam is like, he's the complete opposite, right? Like he is representative of like just that sense of bloodlust and rage that an unhinged grown man can be pushed to under the extreme and right circumstances. And I think he does that very well, while still not being completely one dimensional by having like these moments and these reasonings for why he does what he does. I mean, to Ed's point, it really is kind of like fuck around and find out. Or you could just leave me alone. It really is like he's a character where it's like, or you could just leave him alone because he doesn't have a 1. His 1 to 10 is literally just 1 to 10. There's not a 5 or 6 in between.
For the listeners, like before this story, as you guys said, it's like World War III. And I think in that story, he does like run through like the Teen Titans and a few other groups. He just like freaking runs through.
He's got a Christmas list.
Crazy.
He's got a Wikipedia list of every DC team available, and he just like you said, he runs through them.
He's that guy.
For me, this series kind of just reinforced what I already kind of viewed Black Adam as based on other things I've read. He's gritty, he's vengeful, he's not to be crossed, he's brutal. Walking just epitome of rage to me. Ed, did you learn anything new about the character based on this?
I kind of understand him a little more because, like I said, I wasn't terribly familiar with him outside of that original Shazam kind of one and done thing. So it's cool kind of going back and kind of learning the, I guess, more contemporary version of him. And like I said, outside of Forever Evil, I haven't really read much with him outside of a couple of Shazam things, but he wasn't really the main guy in a lot of the Shazam stuff I read. But yeah, it's a very interesting, it's like very well written. I agree with the earlier points. Like, man, you needed to know a lot of backstory here, but I think the character was written really well. His interactions, the conversations, so many different things from just killing everybody to that nice kind of quiet diner conversation that almost escalates to that fight with Hawkman. I think there's a lot of cool scenarios that was put in with this fetch quest. So, it's, and then like being one step ahead of the Justice League, they're just coming in afterwards,
Yeah, it's like, I guess I should add cunning to that, because that was something, maybe something I learned was just how cunning he is and how smart he is.
That's part of the Shazam powers. I know they changed it to the Egyptian thing, but it's like the wisdom of Solomon, but it's, they're using Egyptian, analogs with that now.
I'd say you get to see a full range of his cunningness and rage, right? Like you get to see the very obvious physical manifestation of his rage, where he's, like Zach said, he's cutting people in half by flying through them. He's holding dudes out in thunderstorms. And what about that one scene where he's got that one Wet Works fake ass assassin in hand as he's flying into space? Yeah. Having a very deep thought, right? Like he's having a thought to himself.
He's just ice cubes.
Meanwhile, he's got like this dude that's, fucking suffocating to death.
I had to like double take the panel when that happened. I was like, what is... Like,
because it's like, oh, he brought that guy up there. He just dropped. Oh, you can't breathe out here. My bad.
And I think the credit goes to, and that's a good point, Zach. Is that there's a lot of things like you kind of got to catch throughout this book, right? Like that one scene, right, where Black Adam's having a very deep thought, and the panel keeps getting wider and wider, and then you realize, oh shit, he's got some guy in hand.
He's got this guy still.
I don't think there's a lot of splash pages in this, so. And that's something I noticed with Doug Mahnke, is that he works in very tight spaces. Like his panel work is always, he tries to give you a lot of, he doesn't give you like the full image. Like he works his way into revealing like certain things going on.
Even in that fight with that Bigfoot thing.
Oh,
he's
I forgot about that.
Rappelling off the side with his intestines. Like, yeah. Damn.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's like, geez.
That was crazy. Yeah. Did this make you want to go back and maybe check out some of the preliminary stories that build up to this point, like World War III and the 52 stuff? Because I'll say for me, even though I read the Wikipedia, so much shit apparently happens in those two prior stories. I'm kind of interested to see how they unfold. Like a lot of, like, it's not just a very clear cut, like, oh, his wife is killed and he goes on a revenge mission. Like a lot of things lead up to that. Are any of you interested in maybe reading and visiting some of those?
I am for sure. And I had to find out if he gets back with ISIS. I had to look that up. And I found the page where it doesn't end well for Mr. Faust. She comes in and she basically castrates him.
Oh, like husband, like wife.
It's implied that I think she's more Black Adam now when she comes back than she was ISIS. So what's implied and what I've read, that he was basically sexually assaulting her because she was basically like kind of a comatose. So he was doing that on top of using her magic, siphoning her magic. So he got
his just dues
for sure. So I was very curious, and I'm probably going to grab this collection. Because
good sign right there.
Mahnke art, can't beat it, and it's a really good piece, especially with the movie coming out. And that sweet new Alex Ross cover.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's sharp.
It looks good. It looks good. Yeah. For me, I'm interested. What else is he capable of?
Yeah.
And what else has he done at this level? So I want to read more Black Adam. What about you, Zach?
I think this book starts you a little bit empty and leaves you full. So I'm not curious to see like what happens after the story necessarily, because I was left very full. But yeah,
You didn't want to see him get back with ISIS?
Sure.
No. Okay. Oh man.
I like my anti-heroes in pain. You know. I don't know.
Okay.
So-
Man, no love for you, man. I'm glad you're not writing me.
I do want to see what happens previous to this. I'd like to see, like Potter said, I'd like to see him to be a little bit more chaotic and reckless when he doesn't have to hold back, when he's not siphoning his wife's life force, whatever. I want to see that. So, yeah.
Last question before we get into our next segment. Any expectations going into the movie based on the trailers that we've seen, any interviews, promos, et cetera, et cetera? How are we feeling about the movie coming out?
I'm excited to see my boy go from Scorpion King to Kingdom Come Down. That's all I want to see.
The CGI will be a lot better. I'm hoping.
I just want to see The Rock. I really just want to see this, honestly, for Dwayne Johnson. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I just want to see him like win in this role because he has earned it. Like his press tours, his passion for the character, his passion for the team.
His just work ethic in general is insane.
I just want to see it for him. Like, I want to see it for Dr. Fate too.
Oh, come on, man. Pierce Bronson.
That's a great cast.
Perfect
It's
casting.
gonna be sick. All this Hodges, Hawkman. Like, I want to see the other characters too, but I honestly have no expectations. I feel like Warner Brothers DC has been hit or miss for a lot of people, and I'm one of those people. And I tend to go into their movies. I tend to go into Marvel movies like that now lately, but that's a different topic. But I tend to go into their films with like no expectations, and I most of the time I'm like happily surprised, and I want to be surprised, and I want to see him win in this role. That's all I want to see.
There we go. I like that. Ed, you want to add to that?
I've been a fan of The Rock because I'm a wrestling fan. So I've been a fan of him forever. And he is probably the most charismatic person in the planet. And for years, even when it was a no-go and it was, everything was delayed and companies, the organization was shifting and new owners. And like I said, he still wants to do this and he's still steadfast and I believe it's going to be good. And from early release reviews, it's been kind of unanimously, people said it's a pretty good movie almost. And who knows, like I said, who knows how much these guys were being paid to say this. But there's the people who are even saying it kind of transcends like superhero movies. Oh, wow. Which I'm not going to expect that. That's a bit weighty.
Yeah.
I'm pretty optimistic about it. It's a new character. It's not another fucking Batman movie. And he's not a household name. Black Adam's not a household name. I think it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to transcend superhero movies like I've been hearing, but I think it's going to be a solid movie.
This is going to be a blockbuster to me. This ain't going to be one I think I'm going to sit and look for the deeper meanings of things. Yeah. And that is A-okay, right? Like, it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I want to see him
punching people.
Yeah, I want to see him looking badass, right? Yeah. And I want to see this movie win. I want to see more movies like this. I want this movie to win so the execs and the powers that be know that, we don't need to just stick to, DC's Trinity.
Batman.
Batman. Trinity at that. But yeah,
mostly
Batman.
I want more Superman, but
I'm excited to see, Pierce Bronson as Dr. Fate. I'm excited to see Hawkman, Cyclone, Atom Smasher. The JSA that is a very, to me, that if you're a fan of the JSA, if you tell me you're a fan of the JSA and you read the comics, I'm like, okay, you probably have pretty good taste in comics. You probably dive into like lesser known stuff.
The history.
Yeah, exactly.
Comics,
that's not a household comic or team name, especially among even like comic readers. Those fans of JSA like are kind of few in between, in my opinion. So for them to get the big screen treatment, let's do it. Like I want this to win. I want. And you kind of want to see a W for DC movie fans, right? Like it tends to be like a running joke, and they're the butt of jokes when it comes to like superhero movies as of lately. And there's always that friction and all the bullshit going on with like the with Warner Brothers and all that.
Yeah,
I hope this is just like that shining beacon for them.
Are you guys expecting like a lot of world building from this movie? Do you expect it to expand? Because it seems like they're really making this the fresh start.
A new
So
fresh start.
I kind of want to see like where are you guys gonna go?
I'm almost expecting it, right? Like, you don't just get Dwayne Johnson
That's
for
what I'm
one
saying.
movie, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's already got plans of like showing up in a future Shazam movie
The thing
or
too
a
is
Superman
like
fight.
you want at least a tie with Shazam, which has ties into
Exactly,
the
the
universe
bigger.
because they reference Superman, and it's like we like they made these Venom movies with no Spider-Man in sight. It's like, how the hell do you have Venom
are you
without
doing
Spider-Man? And they're making like a Craven. It's like, how do you have all these movies without Spider-Man? So and I think you have to at least, okay, we'll test it with Shazam. We'll try to get Henry Cavill back, and then we'll have that ultimate showdown. But I don't, and I think they'll keep the characters. I think they'll keep Gal Gadot. Who knows? Flash is definitely off the table. That guy's went out of his damn mind.
They are currently working
Get Grant Gustin.
1,000
Just let him
hours
do it.
to remove him from the Justice League movie.
They're going
frame
to
by
deep fake.
frame.
They're just going to put Grant's face on that dude.
Yeah. Zach, real quick, what's the over-under, in your opinion, of Henry Cavill or a Superman cameo? Easter egg, whether it be a cameo, end credit scene, and are you crying if you see that?
I'm
you shedding a tear?
I
You
just
shedding a
watched
tear?
Man of Steel 2 days ago. I drew I'm not even kidding. I can go get the drawing. I drew Superman and just like a nostalgia filled like just
I got to
rage.
see this drawing.
I drew him, and then I watched Man of Steel the same night. I'm just feeling it, man. On my Instagram, if you watch my story, I was like posting the stills from like Man of Steel. Like Henry Cavill, like I feel like he never got to fully stretch his wings, but he was so well cast, and I would be the biggest Warner Brothers DC fan. I would eat it up if they managed to get him back in this movie. I mean, I would totally betray my entire True Believer Marvelite history if they did. You will see this whole thing will be DC. I promise you, like behind me. So, if they manage this, man, that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna
Just the meeting in the clouds, like floating.
anything.
I'm gonna face to face.
Standing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be super dope.
Anything, man. But I do think I think based on what Dwayne Johnson's been, how he's been discussing the movie and the universe, I think it's a pretty big chance we're gonna see Soups. And I think we're gonna see Cavill. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna recast that. That's crazy.
Well said. All right, gents. Well, I think it's safe to come to the conclusion that we are all for recommending Black Adam, The Dark Age, for anyone interested in, brushing up on Black Adam or getting to know the character prior to the movie, with the caveat that there are some things that transpire prior to the story that you might want to maybe just do a quick Wikipedia, read through. I did that and I felt pretty good about it. But just go in with that understanding that, you might get lost to some of the references, but overall you can enjoy it as a pretty good character study of Black Adam if you need to kind of get a good entry into that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and call this War Crime Council meeting adjourned for today. All right, I'm not going to let it go that my man.
They can't trace those magic bullets back to us. We had nothing to do with them.
All right, I'm not going to let go of the fact that he is a fucking war criminal, right?
Fugitive.
And a fugitive, all right? And let's move on to our next segment and talk about the best new comic titles coming out next month. Let's go ahead and grab a fistful of comics.
You can either have a mouthful of teeth or a fistful of comics.
Fistful of Comics is the part of the show dedicated to all you Wednesday warriors who loyally frequent your local comic shops every week, as well as newbies looking for a little help and direction on what are the best new comics worthy of your hard-earned cash. This segment is brought to you by Gotham City Limit, Jacksonville's premier shop for comics, toys, collectibles, and more. If you don't know by now, every week we say our own magic words to summon Ben Kingsbury, the greatest comic salesman to ever walk this earth and owner of said Gotham City Limit comic shop. We call him in to give us his top 3 recommendations for new comics and the best titles coming out next month. It's been a few episodes since we heard from him, so let's waste no time today. All right, let's go ahead and give him the spotlight. Let's get some music going and talk about this list of his. First up on his list, all right, his first pick is a highly, I can't stress enough how highly anticipated this book is. It's coming out through DC Comics with some industry heavyweights, to say the very least. I won't ruin the surprise. Here's Ben to tell you all about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, I go by the name Benjamin Dylan Kingsbury, and I bring you the comic book of the year. Batman, Spawn, Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo. Maybe the only duo who could beat this would be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man Spawn combo. However, I digress. With over 13 different covers for your viewing pleasure, including a 1 in 1,000 incentive variant signed by Todd McFarlane and Greg Capullo, my recommendation: for dinner, start eating ramen noodles now so you can buy these comics later.
You can bet your ass I'm about to be suckered into buying some very unnecessary variant covers that I don't need. To be honest, did he say 13 variant covers?
13.
I was expecting way more. If I'm being real with you, I was expecting like 50 or something like that. The only 13 variant covers for this Batman and Spawn collabo that people have been waiting on.
DC, they are restructuring things, so cut down on one of the execs said, all right, cut down on these variant covers.
Well, Batman and Spawn #1 hits shops December 14th. And I'll mention one other thing. For as long as I've known Ben, I think I've known Ben now going on maybe 4, maybe 5 years, I did not know his middle name was Dylan. So you learn something new every day. All right, next up on his list. You didn't think it'd be all DC talk this episode, did you? Ben's second pick swings us back to the House of Mighty Marvel. Take it away, Ben. Tell us what's on your list.
It's the return of the Ben. That's right. Amazing Spider-Man 14 brings us the return of the world's most famous clone, Ben Reilly. This time as his mentally split chasm personality. If you missed the events of Amazing Spider-Man 93 in the free comic book day Comics Spider-Man, Ben Reilly Chasm and Madame Pryor have a dark web headed for the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, so this new series, I guess, is about some jilted clones, the most famous jilted clones in comics. Yeah. Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor teaming up, which I think is it's rather interesting.
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
We're never going to get through this clone trauma.
You're right. They're not letting that shit go. All right. So you can expect another new suit, another new Spider-Man suit, another big Spider-Man crossover event, another Goblin villain for Spider-Man to punch in the face. Some things just don't change. But Amazing Spider-Man #14 hits shops November 23rd. And for the last pick, Ben is taking us to a very magical place. All right. It's a place called Fairyland.
World-famous writer and artist Scotty Young brings his I Hate Fairyland series back through Image Comics with this new #1. Bloody Deadpool meets Alice in Wonderland would probably be the best way for me to describe this comic series. Bloody, graphic, horror, fairy tales, right in time for Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, if you're in or around the Jacksonville area on Saturday, October 29th, stop by the Gotham City Limit Halloween Bash. Those are our picks of the week. I'm Ben K. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility, and always take it to the limit.
There we go. And I like that. I like that comparison. I Hate Fairyland. I don't know if any of you have ever read it. All right, Ed's read it, but I think Ed, do you think he nailed it? Deadpool meets Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, it's basically like with how Scotty Young, is he doing the art for this? Do you know?
Let me check.
He's been doing a lot of writing lately.
I think he's just doing the writing.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure he got somebody somewhere.
He set the bar rather high when he did when he does.
Yeah, it's a fun, like I said, just person stuck into this like fairy tale, like Alice in Wonderland type of world with like a lot of over the top cartoony violence. But yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. One thing I don't hate about Fairyland is that I get to remind all of you out there that I got to interview the Eisner Award-winning writer Scotty Young for a panel at Heroes Con this year, which you can hear on episode 361. Shameless would be my magic transforming Shazam word. All right, when I say shameless, I transform. But I Hate Fairyland #1 arrives in shops November 16th. If any of those pique your interest, please do yourself a favor. Go ahead and go to your local comic shop and tell them to order that for you. Zach and Ed, of the 3 recommendations that we got today from Ben, which one are you most interested in? Zach, take it away.
I'm grabbing that Spawn and Batman book immediately, and I'm also going to have a stack of like at least 6 variant covers. I already know it. 'Cause
Same. I'm right there with you.
Able to resist, yeah. So, Greg Capullo art. Oof, yeah.
All right, Ed. What about you? Which one you grabbing?
It's a toss-up. I think Spawn Batman for sure, because I love Greg Capullo. And that's just a classic. That's like very nostalgic kind of comeback. But depending on who does the art for I Hate Fairyland, I'm kind of interested in seeing where it goes from there, just as like a visual thing. But yes, it's a toss-up between those two.
Yeah.
The clones, Madeline Pryor aside, I don't care about these other clones.
I'm an adult male now. Like Madeline Pryor's skimpy outfit doesn't work on me anymore.
It still kind of works for me. But the other, Ben Reilly, nah, not interested.
I mean, I already stated mine. Batman and Spawn #1. I'm looking to see how that goes, and hopefully this leads to more cross publisher work, especially between like Spawn and other titles. Maybe whether it be Image and more DC stuff or vice versa. I think this is a good look to maybe seeing more stuff like this. So yeah, Batman Spawn is on my pull list. And once again, listeners, any of these pique your interest, please make sure you go to your local comic shops to order those. A big shout out to Ben from Gotham City Limit Shop for always steering us in the right direction. And remember, even if you don't live in Jax, you can still take it to the limit by shopping their online store, which is linked in this episode's show notes. Next up, we got a very good mailbag segment to get through. And I want to talk about Werewolf by Night. All 3 of us have watched it. We agreed we're going to do a 3-way joint champion.
So
but first, I want to take a quick music break to stretch our legs, refill our drinks. And I'm extremely excited about this music break today because it will be the debut of the newest member of our Shortbox team. Hailing all the way from Brazil is an incredible producer that has obviously been studying the music of hip-hop royalty like Ninth Wonder, Old Kanye, and Static Selecta. He goes by the name of Lerm, Lerm, and his beats are incredible. All right, I was finally introduced to him by my little brother David, who does most of the music on this show, as most of you know by now. And Lerm was very excited to provide me a giant folder of instrumentals to use. It was like 3 gigabytes of just music. So here's one called For Troubled Boys, which I find highly appropriate considering what we've talked about so far. Black Adam, don't go nowhere, right? Enjoy the music, and we'll be right back. And we are back. Once again, the music you just heard was by our newest Shortbox music signee, Lerm. You'll be hearing a lot more from him on future episodes. So if you like what you hear, go listen to more of his music on YouTube and SoundCloud. There will be links in the show notes to do just that, all right? For Mailbag Segment, we've got not 1, not 2, but 3 pieces of fan mail to get to today. Ed, you know how much I love fan mail, man. You know I love when our listeners email us to let us know how great we're doing. I delete the ones where they talk shit about us. That folder's actually getting very full. So we've got some fan mail to get to today, all right? This first one comes from a new listener, first-time emailer. His name is Jason Barnes. And I've been looking forward to reading this email. He sent it last week, but I was saving it for this one, all right? So here we go. The title of his email is Breaking the Seal. And he writes, "You, as a former podcast host here in the Bold City, it takes a certain amount of dust busting what's left of my pride to write to you all. I've known about the show for years, but I never gave it a shot until I ran into Ed at a mutual friend's going away party. We got to talking, and I decided to give the show a chance. Ed, does that ring any bells?
Yes, I know what this is. Mm-hmm.
All right, bet. He continues, man, am I glad that I did. The Shortbox is a show that, as Ashley would say, respects my time. I've yet to skip an episode. Even when I don't think I will connect with the subject matter, the passion that you all show in presenting the information makes it interesting to me and makes me want to do some research on my side. I wanted to share a champion with you, and I haven't heard much about it on the show, so I'm wondering what the deal is. She-Hulk Attorney at Law has been such a fun show. I don't know if you're saving up for this week's finale or what, but I've been a little bummed out that weeks go by and nobody is talking about it. I know from your very first episode that there has been some Dan Slott beef here and there, and this show is loosely based on his 2004 run, but it's just a fun, fresh take on the MCU that has brought to life D-list characters like Porcupine and Manbull. I've been having a blast trying to guess what will happen next, and I've been pleasantly surprised by the offbeat comedy and randomness that I've come to expect from the show. Anyway, that's my twin pennies. I hope that others give it a shot, even though it drives along the outer rim of the uncanny valley at times with its CG star. Keep up the good work, and I hope we hear from Grandpa C in the coming weeks. Hasta con queso, Jay Sinner. Big shout outs to Jason first and foremost. Thank you so much for taking the time to write that email. And breaking the seal on being a first-time emailer. I found his joke about being a former podcast host and having to brush off like your pride to be like, yo, I listen to your show too. Pretty funny. So I respect that. I extra respect that. And you taking the time to write this email. Let's, I guess, address his main point here, which is She-Hulk. You know, and we haven't really talked about She-Hulk much. I know amongst ourselves, me and Drew, not so much either. And I'll just be honest. Aside from just being just kind of busy with work and life stuff, I've also just had like a case of like content overload.
Yeah, same.
The first episode, personally to me, wasn't enough to have me come back immediately. I thought, I'm going to let this kind of build up. I'll catch it when it's like episode 2 or 3. But then Atlanta started, right? The season finale of Atlanta started. Tried watching this Rings of Power show. I definitely didn't care for that. House of Dragons has been super dope. Andor has also got my attention. So it's just been a case for me of like, first episode wasn't enough to really pull me in. Even though I kind of felt stupid because I feel like everyone I talked to, as the weeks went by, were like, yo, what is wrong with you? Like, you're missing the boat on, how funny this show is and how unique it is. So I guess I say all that to say I'm hoping to maybe make some time when I'm, especially after this week with the Zine Fest and all that. So that is my piss poor way of copping out and saying I've just been too busy. Zach, I think you've been keeping up with it, right? We talked a little bit about this.
I have, because I love Marvel and I love the character of She-Hulk. I haven't been enjoying the show too much, and so I didn't make it to the finale. I think that there's fun to be had in the show, and I definitely love that there are a big group of fans that are enjoying the show. It probably just wasn't what I expected, and I kind of have to piggyback off of what Botter said. And like, I feel like there are better things to watch with my time that I resonate with more, that are entertaining for me. This show, it just feels like it's not a law show, but it's not a sitcom, but it's not
Identity
a
Crisis
show. Like, what am I watching every week? And it's just a weird series of events, which I guess is sitcom-y. But the humor is just it doesn't hit with me. Same thing with Love and Thunder, right? Like, I just didn't hit with me. But, in all positivity, I'm very happy that Jason is enjoying the show. I wish I had only good things to say about it, because I do love Marvel content. Don't think that I'm very careful about talking about things I don't like, if you guys notice. So, because I don't want people to feel
it's okay not to like something if it's not your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. I'm not vibing with this one.
Your reasoning was much better than mine. At least you've it was much
too
better
busy.
Yeah.
Too busy.
But I'm curious, are you going to go back and watch the finale? It sounds like you've invested this much time in it. Like, it can't be.
Probably.
Wow, you said that so
I'll
much.
do it today.
We expect a paper.
I like our guests to have a good time, and it sounds like I'm giving you a hard time.
No. It's just, I've already heard it on Instagram. It's like, oof.
One positive thing, more people like it than I've heard bad things. And some of it's been surprising because it's been friends and even family that haven't watched a lot of like superhero stuff, and they kind of just chose to dive into She-Hulk for whatever reason, and have like thoroughly been enjoying how funny it is. I guess it's like very kind of wacky, and I had another friend tell me that they managed to like introduce you to a lot of different pockets of the MCU in very short bursts, right? Where it's like, hey, we're going to introduce this character and this kind of aspect of the show. But it sounds like it's been a vehicle to expand the Marvel universe without it being so bogged down by just telling one character story or one villain or all that. So it sounds interesting in that regard.
And I like She-Hulk too. I'm with you. I'm a fan of the character, and I like the run. I haven't felt like putting that much time into it. If it was like 5 episodes, I'm like, all right. But it's what, like 10 episodes or more?
I think it's like 10. Yeah.
10? Yeah, it's like, okay.
But I hear they're real short. They're like less, they're like
It's like
30 minute
minutes.
episodes.
Yeah, and I do eventually plan on seeing it just because I do like the C-list characters, because I heard like, isn't like the Wrecking Crew in it? And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Titana,
right?
and
It's
it's like,
like-
oh yeah, that's awesome.
I want to see all these characters.
Yeah.
They're some of my favorites in the comics. So.
But it's not a character that I have like a big like I like the character, but I'm not like I have a huge affinity for like a Luke Cage when that came out. I love that. I grew up loving that character. It's just something I'll get to, but it's not been the priority.
I will take full credit and shame on me for claiming to be such a big Charlie Cox fan and clamoring to have Daredevil into the MCU, and here I am not watching this. So like I said, I'll correct my mistake as soon as I get some free time.
The episode where Daredevil debuts is probably my favorite out of all of them, because I feel like the plot pushes forward. I feel like things happen that there are character interactions, there's character drive and everything. And it's just really cool to see him back. I have one more episode to the finale. I think I might just watch it today because now I feel like I have to watch it. But
just do it.
Yeah,
just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Jason. Well, thank you so much for writing in, and hopefully to hear more from you, man. Thank you so much for becoming a diehard fan. It sounds like we appreciate you. All right, next email. Well, this one was more so like a DM that was sent, but I want to read it anyways. It comes from our homeboy Henry Hernandez over on our Patreon. All right, he wrote, "Yo, Shortbox, happy spooky season. I got a champion for you guys and girls, of course. It's a DC book, Botter. Sorry, but you might." It's a DC book, Botter. Sorry, but you might give it a chance if you haven't read it. It's called DC Horror Presents Soul Plumber. In simple words from me, it's The Exorcist meets Evil Dead with that horror comedy way. It's only 6 issues, so you might like it. From the last episode, I will champion Afterlife with Archie. Hope everyone has a happy Halloween. Take care.
That's funny because that's written by the last podcast on the left, guys.
I went to the comic shop on Wednesday, and I literally picked this book up, flipping through it, and I guess I just disassociated the last podcast on the left had written it, and I was flipping through it. The art looks great, and I almost picked it up, but it was like 3 of 6. So I was like, I'll just check it out on the DC Universe app when I get a chance. Thank you, Henry, for that recommendation and that champion, and I'm glad that you liked Afterlife. I'm glad that you chimed in about Afterlife with Archie. And our last email for today, I mean, it's been I feel like we haven't heard from our boy T-Mix in a week or two, but he's back this week with a new email, and it's titled Cobra Kai Never Die Take 2. And he starts off the email with, "Yo, what up, Shortbox? Wow, 3 episodes of content to comment. Don't worry about her. I'm not looking to pay rent, so to be succinct, my kids are doing great. Thanks for asking. They've been enjoying the new My Little Pony series. It's a good... You know what? Oh, that's a callback to the joke that we made in a few episodes ago when we were like, don't write in about your kids. We don't care. That was good. T-Mix, but we care about your kids, T-Mix, because you're a Patreon subscriber. So, we love you. We love your whole family. All right? Tell us how things are going. We love hearing about the house. All right, but he continues, "It's a good Sunday so far, as the Jags haven't ruined it yet. I think that's about it. Actually, they're playing the Colts right now, and I'm afraid to check the score. So I'm not gonna. I'm not
screaming in the next room.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna risk it. Let's continue on. His email continues. Spooky season was great. Looking forward to reading all the picks, particularly Harrow County, which was Ashley's pick, as Witches was fantastic. Rick Remender's spotlight was top tier as usual. And lastly, Ashley, you should watch Titan Season 3. It's only 13 episodes long. I've got 3 champions this week. First, Andor. I had 0 expectations for the series, and it's turned out to be very good. It's on par with Mando Season 1. I'm really surprised to find myself caring about Cassian Andor. This is the writing Obi-Wan should have had, and I'm looking forward to C's take on it. Second champion, Rings of Power. Visually, it's stunning. The ensemble cast following the stories around Galadriel, Elrond, and the Harfoots was really well done. It all gets a nice bow on the season finale and sets up Season 2. Lastly, Season 5, Cobra Kai. The stakes are even higher with Silver in charge. Chosen is back to help Danny and Johnny take down Terry Silver. I'm sad you still haven't watched it, Ed. Ed, are you ever going to get around to this?
I don't know. I'll watch She-Hulk before that.
What?
Wait, Zach, are you a Cobra Kai guy?
No, I haven't watched it either. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on, Zach. We can't give shit. I give shit to Ed, all right? And of course, T-Mix signs off Hasta la próxima, mis amigos. P.S. Previews episodes with Drew are the best, are the bonus content everyone needs. But y'all were both wrong about Dragon Ball Z. Okay, I was hoping someone called us out on this. On Namek, Dende wishes 1, Piccolo gets resurrected. 2, Piccolo gets brought to Namek. And 3, Super Kami Guru dies so Vegeta doesn't get immortality. Leave it up to T-Mix to hone in on, I guess, some backstory. Me and Drew recorded a bonus episode that was Patreon only. It was us looking through this month's preview. We came across like this epic Dragon Ball Z Dende and Shenron figure, and we were trying to recall what was Dende's 3 wishes that he uses in the Frieza saga, and I guess we fucked it all up. I think we might have got 1 or 2 wrong, but we fucked it all up in true fashion, and that was T-Mix correcting us like he does, man. Nothing escapes him, all right? And I appreciate that a lot. So big shout outs to T-Mix. I hope you enjoy Harrow County. Let us know if you read that. I know that was Ashley's pick. And she spoke very highly about it. Glad you enjoyed the Rick Remender spotlight. And I'll agree with you on Andor. I was not expecting to really to enjoy it this much, but it's kept my interest. It's definitely a fucking slow burn though, man. Like I feel like nothing has really happened. They kind of like the whole premise is like explaining to you like how the resistance kind of started, and you know those main players and the folks that really got it off the ground, and Andor's role in it. So it's a lot of like kind of placing characters and the puzzle pieces on the board. So I'm waiting for like that catalyst and the action to really pick up. But yeah, it's a very good looking show, and yeah, it's been on my radar. Have any of you guys watched Andor or any of his other champions? Obviously not Cobra Kai.
Want to mention the Rick Remender one. That's one of my favorite episodes you guys have ever done.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a huge Rick Remender fan. I'm a huge Shortbox Nation fan too. But if behind me you see 7 to Eternity, and you guys didn't bring it up that episode. So yeah. So I was gonna mention if you guys have never read 7 to Eternity, it's incredible.
Come on, dude. You can't read everything that dude's written.
Listen, man, it's next level. Like,
wow,
it's so
the art
good.
is incredible.
The art is insane.
That hardcover you posted on your
it's right here
on your Instagram is awesome. It's a good looking. So
it's amazing. I haven't even cracked it open yet. I need to start rereading it, but it's incredible. But yeah,
you know, people say I've got. No one has said this, but people say I've got ears similar to Black Adam, but there's one thing that separates me from Black Adam is that I don't kill a whole nation when people correct me. All right, so Zach, I take your constructive criticism and I appreciate that. All right?
Listen, it was just no hard feelings. I was just a little bit heartbroken, and I was like, man, like I literally wanted them to talk about one book.
I got you.
No. It's so incredible. It's so incredible. Definitely check it out.
All right. Well, big shout outs to our emailers today, right? So big shout outs to Jason, big shout outs to Henry, and big shout outs to T-Mix. We always appreciate when our listeners take time to write in, whether it be to share a champion, to call us out, to correct us apparently on Dragon Ball Z lore, which, you know, I highly encourage. Appreciate you guys. To anyone listening that's like, I want them to read an email, I want to chime in, feel free to send us an email at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com or shoot us a DM on Instagram or Twitter. We want you to chime in into the conversations. And while you consider doing that, I think it's a perfect time to get into our next topic and tell you all about the best entertainment options worthy of your time, personally backed and guaranteed by us. It's time for Champion Season.
It's time for
Champion Season.
Champion Season is the part of the show where we highlight worthwhile entertainment options like movies, TV series, books, video games, and anything else we'd personally recommend to our friends looking for something new to dive into. Now, that's normally how we do things when it comes to this segment, but we have made a three-way agreement that Werewolf by Night was so fucking awesome that we're all going to spend the next couple minutes talking about Werewolf by Night. That's going to be our sole champion for today's episode. Ed, what did you call it? What was the wrestling term?
What are the trios champs? This is the trio champion season.
Damn right, yeah.
King of trios.
Yeah, the king of trios right here. All right, so Werewolf by Night. So spoiler warning, if you haven't watched it, I know, a couple weeks old, and I watched it this week, so I was behind a week, but if you haven't
watched it this morning.
Oh my gosh.
Brand new champion.
I still got the packaging on it. I still got that new car smell, but Werewolf by Night. So this is your spoiler warnings. If you haven't seen Werewolf by Night, it came out October 7th. And we're going to definitely talk about some important plot points. Might spoil it for you. So if you haven't seen it, fast forward or just call it a day. All right. I excuse you. You're excused from the dinner table. All right. You may go to your room and hang out there, but watch Werewolf by Night as soon as you can. Is it hyperbole to say it was fucking incredible?
I loved it.
It was incredible.
I wasn't expecting this
amazing.
at all.
Zach, you said something when we read that email that you've, or maybe prior to the email, but you said something along the lines of like, even now, lately you've gone into the Marvel movies a little bit like, well, I'm a little iffy on this one. You got your guard up.
I could not get home fast enough to watch this because Marvel was doing something different. And I love Elsa Bloodstone. And I love that world. I love the mystical horror.
Another
side of
believer, Potter.
Yes. And I literally, just me and Illy, just at home, gave it a standing clap, applause ovation, because I was so excited for Marvel. Yes, literally, I was so excited for Marvel to give me some good content like this. I was thirsty, She-Hulk, it's entertaining, Hawkeye, whatever, all these Disney Plus shows, they're like little, it feels like granola. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have a little bite. This felt like an entree. This was the only thing that I would complain about it is I wish it was longer. That was it. It was only an hour, and I was just, if this was they could have just made this whole movie. I really feel like they could have just made this a 2-hour special. I would have just ate it up. It's incredible.
I agree, but I like the fact that it's only an hour too. I agree with what you said because I love this. What they're building here, but that's probably one of the reasons I did watch it. It's 54 minutes.
It hella respects your time.
Really respects my time. I knew nothing about this other than hearing they're doing this. I'm like, oh, Halloween, okay. I didn't no idea about the black and white. I had no idea about the Bloodstones. I had no idea about Man-Thing. When I turned it on, I was like, oh, that's a cool title card. That's old, Universal Monsters title card. That's pretty cool little tribute. And then it's in black and white. And I thought it was going to be one of those where they just do a flashback and then it's in color, And I was 20 minutes in, oh, this whole thing's in black and white. Okay. And then at the beginning where it's the Bloodstone, I'm like, oh, Bloodstone. All right. And then Elsa's here. I'm like, Elsa's here? All right. And then I wish I didn't see that dude when they did the casting news. Cause that's because only reason I recognized him was because I saw that he was cast.
Oh, the guy that plays Jack?
Yeah.
Garcia Bernal.
Yeah, so it's but I love the look of it, the lighting, the score was was this movie was made in the 40s, it's the practical effects, it's just perfect. This movie was to me perfect. Using Man-Thing and having to see him use his powers on screen. Awesome.
On the topic of wishing you had avoided certain things, I wish I would have avoided, even though I felt like it was impossible, I wish I would have avoided the Man-Thing images that were floating around.
I was surprised. I didn't see them.
Oh, really?
I totally avoided it.
I felt like that one black and white still was everywhere. And which I thought was a little uncharacteristic because it was so grainy, the image that people were sharing. But I think they got it from New York Comic Con or maybe not New York Comic Con. I think some
the
event.
D23.
The D23,
yeah,
thank you.
D23, yeah. Do you guys know who directed this? Speaking of the score?
No.
Michael Giacchino, who did the score for all 3 Spider-Man films, Doctor Strange, did the score for the Star Trek movies, the Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman movie.
Oh, wow.
He's done a bunch of incredible scores. I think this might be his directorial debut. And I think that's, since you mentioned the score, I was
he's that good. He's let's let you direct this one.
I was blown away. Please give this man more movies. Matter of fact, I think they should give him Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's been
he took my vote.
A mess. Yeah.
You know what? I can't say I read it. I just seen the headline because I was getting ready for today's episode, but it looks like they are maybe in talks. I don't know if it's confirmed or not at this point of having the director for Werewolf by Night handle Blade.
He should.
Yeah, because I guess that's been kind of in weird turmoil and limbo right now. But Werewolf by Night, I was watching it with Blythe, and her first question was like, "Do I need to know anything?" And I was like, "I'll be honest, I don't know that much about him, so we might be in the same boat."
You know what a werewolf is? All right, you're good.
That's it.
Yeah, but the Elsa Bloodstone stuff, I was fortunate. I was happy that I knew a little bit about her, but to see her like come to life on the big screen and to get a fresh introduction with that opening. I thought they set they set the table perfectly.
Because we when we do like our dream projects, mine was always like Legion of Monsters stuff. Elsa Bloodstone, nice. Elsa Bloodstone. That's probably why you heard like that asshole said that name so many times.
The interactions between like Elsa and Jack when they're in the crypt and basically like that crypt.
Yeah,
there's like this sense of like cat and mouse, but there's also like a lot of tenderness. I love it, like how tender and very like compassionate that Jack was. Like you could tell like this is a man that his life is just fucking hard, right? But he's still got like he still holds on to his humanity, and he's got like this like this very warm nature to him. And then it's very good juxtaposition with like Elsa, who's like also tough life, cold, takes no shit,
doesn't trust anybody.
It has got her family like kind of literally kind of hates her. I love their interaction, and then whenever like it was Verussa on screen interacting with Elsa, there were so many good kind of character pairs and whatnot.
What do you think of Ulysses making his final speech like a marionette puppet? Like,
can I say how many times I've joked about that being my dream funeral?
Just popping out.
All right.
Oh my god!
I want to be propped up at my funeral.
It was like the Crypt Keeper. It was like, what is going on?
I want to be propped up at my funeral. Basically doing a show.
I know it's an ambiguous time here because it can be pretty much any time, if everyone's just playing dress up. But man, can you just record yourself and show a videotape? You have to
there was some
great corpse.
There were some great shots in this movie.
Like, excellent
My
shots.
favorite one was like the trans. I was wondering how they were going to do the transition shot, the werewolf change.
Oh,
and I love
man.
that flickering
Shadow.
light. Oh, it's beautiful.
So good.
A lot of tension.
And that blood splatter when he fights all the guys and that blood splatter on the camera, man, that's
his
great.
choreography too. The way he bounced around the walls
really
and
cool.
like his fighting style, like it looked a little bit like capoeira. It kind of comes to mind, like the way he was kind of sweeping and like moving side to side. It was really fun to watch him like get to work on these henchmen.
It's got some gore in it, which is pretty cool to see from Marvel Studios.
Arm gets cut off. Yeah, it was the TV 14 or something.
Yeah,
I think the rating was.
Which I don't know if they got away with it.
Black and white helps a lot. 100%. It's like the
some of the stuff was like,
yeah, surprising.
It's 100% the black and white because it's like the if you've seen Kill Bill with when she fights the crazy 88 and then they cut the black and white when she's cutting everyone's arms and stuff off. That's why he cut it to black and white so he could keep that R rating. Otherwise, it would be an NC-17.
Interesting.
So the black and white does make a big difference.
The flaming trombone, for the record, the scene where they're being led into the I guess the game area.
Yeah.
There was something like just so fucking rad watching this dude play this. I don't know if it's a trombone, for the record. I don't know. Is it a trombone?
It's some tuba or something. I'm not sure what it was.
But anyways, that dude playing that with the flames coming out and just like that score of like how hard it hit.
yes.
The score and then the music
Hits
from
you in
the
the chest.
phonograph playing was really cool. Hearing it in headphones. Yeah, that was a really cool sound design. I love this movie. This is like, I was not like...
It was a tuba, for the record. Sorry,
It was a tuba.
It was a tuba. Sorry about that. I beat you to it.
Ed, since you're a Bloodstone fan too, did they change her? I'm pretty sure they made her not the opposite of a monster hunter in this movie, right?
But she did mention something, you haven't had your training, and she said, not here.
Not here, yeah.
Okay.
And
'cause
she could handle
confused about
herself.
that. I was like, is she a monster hunter still? Or
Yeah,
are they kind of
so-
She
changing
was
that?
kicking ass still. I want to know who
Yeah,
trained her.
so she was definitely training. They could change it, because like this is another character where they have almost a blank slate, but because in the comics she basically becomes sympathetic, but she's a hardcore monster killer that becomes sympathetic to the monsters. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's something hopefully they expand on.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, all right. I guess this is after she's, like you said, become compassionate. Because I was kind of confused about that. I'm like, I wonder if she's still like kind of in her vampire slaying phase.
Yeah, she's definitely can fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at some of my notes, and I've got Man Thing's first victim and Showcase of Power. That was a holy shit moment for me.
Anyone who knows fear burns.
Burns at a
So
touch.
yeah,
Bars,
burns at my
Ed,
touch.
bars, please. When I seen that on screen, I let out a very loud.
Yeah,
holy
he grabbed
shit.
the guy's head.
I was in, and I also agree with Ed. I'm fine with it being a mini movie. If anything, I would love for them to make this just a recurring annual tradition. Every Halloween season,
that'd be
we'll give you another 50-minute movie. We'll introduce new characters, or we'll explore more of like this dark pocket of the Marvel universe.
And you can do the crossover because there's the Moon Knight tie-in with Werewolf by Night.
Well, here's my thing. My caveat is
You don't want them by the MCU?
I want it just separate. I'm fine with this being separate.
Like Blade 2? Like keep them separate with the monster stuff?
Because the tone and the brutality of this is so unique. Like, I don't want it to be watered down in any way with having to...
It's going to be in black and white.
Well, I loved it at the end of the this movie, the way they allowed the color to fade in. That was a very, very cool moment. But I'm A-okay, like, this staying in its own separate little pocket of the MCU. And if you do happen to bring, I would want them to bring characters into their universe, so that way they're not compromising what they've already established.
Yeah, and if they're going to do kind of like that Universal monster, like tradition, they can introduce each legion of monster character and have that kind of standalone black and white to kind of, if they want to keep that kind of feel to it, which would be pretty cool. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not sure how well received this was. It's still pretty new, but I like seeing it because it's something completely different, and that's kind of why I initially liked WandaVision so much. It was completely different from what the formula.
It was super fresh. And the only thing that caught me off guard was I didn't know that it dropped so soon. I thought this was still like a couple of weeks, maybe months out. I thought when we saw the Man Thing, and maybe it was on me for not keeping up with the actual schedule, but I thought we still had some time from the moment that we had seen the Man Thing.
I thought it dropped closer to Halloween, like the last
there we go. That's what I was
October.
thinking too. But welcome surprise, and it lived up to all the hype. Like, this has been, I mean, I think I'd seen our guy Cesar at some point saying this might be the best thing Marvel has done.
Oh wow! Okay,
I've seen just
I was curious what he thought about it.
I've just seen a lot of high praise for it, and if it's come from Cesar,
he doesn't like anything.
Yeah. So Laura Donnelly, man, I got me a little crush on Laura Donnelly, man. She was awesome as Elsa Bloodstone. Gael Garcia Bernal. Hell, I got a man crush on Gael Garcia Bernal, man. That dude is so charming. He's got such a warmth to him. I love it. Yeah. All right, so it sounds like across the board, 10 out of 10. There's nothing else to be said, listeners. If you haven't seen Werewolf by Night. Actually, if you haven't seen Werewolf by Night, how did you get to this point? What am I saying?
He told you to leave.
Go watch it again. You know what? You probably have seen it. Go watch it again. That is
technically didn't spoil anything. I don't think. I don't know. He turns into a werewolf. That's about it. Yeah, you didn't see that coming.
Oh man.
Sure. Honestly, if you don't know the premise, you're right. That could be. Yeah, sure. So yeah, go watch.
There
Werewolf
wasn't a
by
full
Night.
moon, so they changed him. With a stone.
Yeah, Man Thing shows up. Ted. My guy
Ted.
Ted.
That's awesome.
Ted,
I love that.
He
Ted,
makes a cup of coffee too. It's like, man, that's pretty.
and apparently has great
His
taste in
big-ass hands?
sushi.
Oh my God,
Jack's like, you go ahead and pick. What, man?
It's funny. It's almost like a Chewbacca Han Solo thing
Yeah,
where he's
yeah,
like laughing at his grunts and mumbles.
Oh man, do you guys know who plays Ted or I'm sorry, Man Thing in this?
Mm-mm.
Carrie Jones and Jeffrey Ford.
Man Thing is played by Carrie Jones, and he played Chrysanthus in Book of Boba Fett recently, and I think he was in Predators, the 2010 Predators movie.
Oh,
and he
okay.
played probably Predator. But anyways, it was cool to see him because it's like, oh, he just I guess that's his kind of shtick, right? Is like big kind of animatronics or big creature. Yeah, he plays Tracker Predator. He plays Tracker Predator in the 2010.
Some giant man.
Yeah, big ass dude. So. All right, Shortbox Nation, it is your turn to chime in. If you got a worthwhile champion pick that you feel that we and the rest of the Shortbox Nation might enjoy, go ahead and share that with us. All right, stop hogging all the good stuff. Tell us if you try out any of the recommendations that we shared today. We'd love to get some feedback. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, or email. Ed, if you don't mind doing us the honors, I know I'm catching you off guard. I should have told you in pre-production. Sorry.
Did not tell me.
Just because Ashley's not here,
all right,
we can't not do our closing segment. Do you mind parting any words of wisdom, closing words, or tell us, what's something new that you learned from today's recording.
Well, I got nothing.
Don't be a fugitive.
Ashley, we need you. We need you back, Ashley.
No. Oh man.
Well, let me take a stab at it. What did I learn today? You know what, Ed, I can give you credit on this, right? You failed me just now, but in a way, you kind of already gave us the lesson learned. The most important thing to take away from this episode is when it comes to Black Adam, fuck around and find out if you want to, all right?
That's it.
That's what you can take away from today's episode. Zach, before we close out, I want to go ahead and thank you for hopping on today's show.
Awesome.
I know that you fancy yourself a Marvelite and hardcore Marvelhead, but this is the second time that we've had you on for a DC show.
That's
true.
I've been quiet about it, but it was
been bothering
me.
me.
He's like, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, you want to do the Black Adam one?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to be on the short box. Please give me a Marvel thing, though." Like, seriously.
Yeah, that's funny.
Would you even do a She-Hulk episode?
Yeah, it's like that's the only way.
I'll do a She-Hulk. I'll do a She-Hulk episode. I'll do it.
Stakes are raised.
I'll do it.
Zach, go ahead and tell the people what you got going on and where people can find you.
You guys can find me at Comic Ventures on Instagram, or if you research Comic Ventures on YouTube, you can find me there too. Make sure you're following. I post content every week on Instagram. I'm doing a couple great series. I have a lot coming up. And thank you guys. And it's an absolute blessing to be here with you guys. It's a lot of fun.
Wow, blessing. That's such a strong word.
Man.
Never
Listen,
been
said.
said.
It is.
I want all of our future co-hosts to, go ahead and recognize how much
gas you up.
There you go. Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. No sweat.
Well, there you have it, Shortbox Nation. Thank you for hanging out with us this week. If you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor, all right? And help spread the word to a friend or someone you know that loves comics as much as we do. If you're feeling extra generous, consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And, if you've been enjoying the show for a long time, ask yourself, have I left them a rating and review just yet? If you haven't, if the answer is no harsh feelings. We won't go Black Adam on that ass, all right? If that's, you ain't got to worry about that. But please consider leaving us a rating and review. It costs you nothing except 10 seconds and a couple of nice words. And it would mean a lot to us. It helps us get the word out for the podcast. And when someone comes across our podcast on their favorite podcast app of choice, they know it's a quality show that they're going into. So do that for me, all right? Next week, if all goes well, you out-of-towners will be able to hear the audio from my panel of Jim Rugg at this year's Jax Duval Comic and Zine Fest, which is taking place Saturday, October 22nd. If you live in the Jax or Northeast Florida area, I highly encourage you to attend that event and catch the panel in person. There's really no reason not to attend, right? It's a free event. It's celebrating independent publishers and comic creators, and it'd be nice if the Shortbox Nation came out in full force for that one. Our Jax chapter, right? The Jacksonville chapter of Shortbox Nation. I'm expecting you guys to show up, right? Check the links in the bio for more details. There's a bunch of helpful links to some of the things that we talked about on today's show. But if you're someone who isn't satisfied of having just one episode to listen to, or you can't wait a whole week to hear from us, and I don't blame you, 7 whole ass days is a long time to go without Shortbox content, I recommend that you join our Patreon community to get access to bonus shows, episode voting privileges, early access to all of our content. You get video podcasts and a whole lot more. All right, it's well worth the very small nominal fee of admission. Just go to patreon.com/theshortbox to sign up or smash one of those helpful links in the show notes. Speaking of Patreon, patrons, if you're still here, if you're still listening, if you're a diehard that listens to every last second of the show, the episode poll for next month's Black Panther Spotlight should be up by the time that you hear this. So please vote for one of the topics we have listed before the poll closes. Everyone's fate is in your hands, all right? And that's no hyperbole, all right? What we talk about in the next couple of weeks is up to you. But until we meet again, Shortbox Nation, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and please continue to make mine and yours Shortbox. Talk to you soon. Peace.